All righty. Welcome to another edition of Vegas Badboyz of Podcasting. I am DJ Impact, and I got Sin City Steve here with me tonight. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, brother. What's going on?
Just the two of us, you know.
Hey, man.
I think that's
we can make it. We can make it if we try.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we don't have Matt Michaels tonight, guys. Most of you guys say he is a evil man, and if you believe that, then maybe he's doing evil things tonight because it's Halloween. Okay, that's when we're recording our show. So happy Halloween to everyone who is celebrating it all. And if you're not hanging out with us, we will appreciate when you download and listen to the podcast, which will be released tomorrow. All right. So if you are hanging out with us, thank you for doing that. If you're on Facebook Live, feel free to put anything in the chat box, and we will try to get that in as we see fit. So yeah, thanks for just hanging with us tonight on this scary night. All right, let's get right to it, Sin City. Raw and SmackDown. Of course, this kicks off the new era.
If you say so.
Well, hey, you know what? They had the term season premiere on their Monday Night Raw show, so we'll take that as the start of the new season. And of course, it was all about future title matches. So it's starting to set the stage of who's going to be going after what. And of course, it started off with who wants to get Big E's title, who he holds the WWE Championship. So those four contenders end up having a match, and that was Seth, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, and Finn Balor. And it was a fatal four-way ladder match. So I thought it was pretty good, man. I mean, what was your take on that?
So the thing is, this match was awesome. I was taken aback that this match was as good as it was, that it was on free TV. But the worst part is they didn't do anything to, try to draw in any additional viewers saying, hey, we're going to be doing this. Maybe if they would have done something on social media earlier on in the day saying, hey, we're going to have a fatal four-way number one contenders ladder match. Why not set the stage for it? And, ultimately the opening segment actually came off very contrived. I think that they could have, they had a really great opportunity to, like I said, utilize social media, get the word out through their various channels that they were going to have this four-way match. And unfortunately they didn't do it, but the match definitely delivered.
Yeah. I guess they said they could have had that type of match, but I guess the opponents were supposed to seem more organic in terms of who was going to compete for that. So maybe they didn't want to give that out. You know what I mean? Because it's weird. I of course I'm a part of their email, and I get every Monday and Friday advertisements to watch this particular event, and they was more of just pushing the fact that it was a season premiere than what was going to be on the show. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see where they go with that. But we did get Seth as being the winner of that, which I kind of thought that's where they were going to go. But I tell you this, the reason why I'm shocked that they went with Seth so quick is because I'm thinking Big E is going to be holding this championship for a minute. So I would have thought that if Seth maybe would have went for this down the line, maybe that could have been the possibility of when they would switch him off the title. But with him going so early, I don't see that happening. So maybe, Seth is not necessarily in that picture at the moment for the title is one way to look at it, maybe.
Well, I think what actually kind of had me a little bit uneasy, to be honest with you, was that in the promo at the top of the show, they had, Rollins cut the promo and he foreshadowed and mentioned Roman Reigns. Now, obviously, as we all know, we're heading to Survivor Series, and Survivor Series is the time where, the WWE champion and the Universal champion will do battle. Right. So that made me a little bit uneasy, because if Rollins is already teasing, name dropping Roman Reigns, I really don't want them to take the title off Big E this quickly. I'm hoping that it's a red herring and it's something that, they're just sprinkling in there to cast doubt for people like me that can connect those dots. Yeah. But it's that was something that really stood out to me. And the other thing that really kind of signaled that Seth was going to be winning this match is that he was the only heel in the four-way. You have Rey Mysterio, you have Finn Balor, and you have Kevin Owens. All three of those guys are baby faces. Right. So you've got to give the win to the heel, so that, Big E's first challenger is going to be a heel. Right. Just to preserve dynamics.
Sure.
But, yeah. I genuinely hope that they do not take this title off of Big E this quick, man.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm worried about.
I agree with that. There were also the tag team championships. You had the Academy versus the Street Profits, and you had the Dirty Dogs, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. And, again, a good match. But you know what I would like to see, and I guess they're just going to be maybe looked at as just the joke of the tag team. But I said this before, I really think there is something there with the Academy. And I really wish that they would kind of focus on that. And I would even say slowly build on that. Bring in, I have mentioned before, and I still believe that, bring somebody into the Academy who, I don't know if Matt Michaels would be like, who would they do? I don't know. But maybe bring someone who can go through that change as like what Otis did. Because Otis looked completely different from how he looked before he joined. Bring someone who's willing to I don't know, shave their hair, lose more weight, whatever the thing is, and then bring them over to the Academy as well. And I think that could really be just a great sort of faction to become to be. And it'd be great for Chad Gable too, which I really do like him in this position. He's a great wrestler. I just wish they did more with the Academy, man. That's just my whole thing.
I completely agree with you, man. I think that, Chad Gable is extremely underutilized. I think that they could do so much more with this guy. Now, obviously, the pairing between he and Otis, when that first happened, I was kind of unsure, but Otis definitely has settled into the heel role. And I backed you up when you threw that out here on the show that to bring in someone else and have Gable essentially convert them into, more of an amateur type of a wrestler. Right. Yeah. I'm a huge mark for those, amateur wrestling tag teams. Right. Great case in point, what they're doing on NXT, which we'll talk about a little bit later with the Diamond Line with the Creed brothers. Yes. I think that is something that they could pull from that without completely stepping on that gimmick. We'll see what happens. And let's be real about it too. I mean, Chad Gable's contract does expire in 2022. So if you're going to posture him as, okay, well, if he's going to end up leaving the company or whatever the situation is, okay, why not have Otis get another tag team partner, have Gable run the group, essentially be the mouthpiece for them, and be the leader of the group. That way it's more of a seamless transition if he does part ways with the company next year. Right.
Yeah. I don't think, it just hit me right now when you were talking, and I don't know what extreme they could do with him, but instead of putting Shelton and you had Cedric with the Hurt Business back, Shelton maybe would have been, you're bringing back sort of the original, guys. And if he somehow maybe would have joined, but again, I don't know what transition that he could go through to make him, go through like the Otis, but they definitely have something to build on that. And I hope they do. But nevertheless, the Dirty Dogs end up winning that particular match there. And so they went up against RK Bro, which, I got to tell you, man, I still just kind of like, it's so funny. I still look at Riddle and I just feel like, I get it, but I just don't get it. It's a weird pairing. You're talking about just weird. Every time I see Riddle just talking that Randy, I'm just, just like,
Impact, dare I say, you are not the target demographic.
I know,
the target audience, I should say, for that tag team.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. Those guys definitely are entertaining, but I think that they could kind of hammer a couple of things home with those guys and get an even better type of a response.
I mean, I'm assuming it's working, I'm assuming. I mean, they get a pop, which you're always going to get when you have Orton on a team and Riddle's, and he's a great wrestler too. I'm just trying my best to really, really kind of like the pairing of these two. And I do when they're in the ring, but the talking leading up to it, I'm just like, oh man, here we go.
Well, I mean,
yeah, exactly. You're right.
You might need to partake in order to fully grasp Riddle's character. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm sure. I'm sure if I would, I'd be like, now I see.
Exactly.
Oh man. I guess a couple of things. We had a new intro for the United States champion, Damian Priest. Uh-oh. You're not feeling it, huh? And he's in this new vengeance he took on. You're not feeling this,
I was fine. I was fine with the character shift. I liked the aggression from Priest. I really did. I don't like his new theme. The old one was perfect.
I do like the old
one. Realistically speaking, if something isn't broke, don't fix it.
True.
Unless he asked for that specifically, I think that this was a major misstep. You could easily have kept him with the same type of an entrance theme and graphics and all the stuff that he had prior to this, and then still give him that, that aggression that he displayed, on the show. There just wasn't a need for him to have a new theme. And
I mean, there's so many.
The crazy thing, Impact, is you, sir, loved to give shit last week when we were talking about theme songs in AEW. So I genuinely want to know what you think about this theme for Priest.
Listen, so this is what gets me. The production of his new one, it sounds good. I don't necessarily care for it right now. Maybe eventually it will grow, but the production quality sounds like it's really good. The problem I have going back to AEW is that it doesn't sound like the production is good. It almost sounds like, in many ways, unless, of course, you're talking about Jericho's theme or something where it's a real band. A lot of these other guys they bring in, it just sounds like it's almost like a high school band. I mean, nothing that really stands out. Like, there's been times you've been to my house and you hear me put on the surround sound to pay-per-views, and it just, when you watch the WWEs, the sound just really pumps. It bumps through the sound like it's a production of something. But when you get AEW, it has this kind of not the same value is what I'm saying.
I totally misunderstood you then. So
yeah.
So you're not talking necessarily about the song itself, but you're talking about the overall production quality.
The quality,
of maybe how it's being, how it's being played and and that kind of stuff. The bit rate essentially that they're using. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Completely understood.
Right. And they're not the only one. Sometimes and other promotions have done that too.
Yeah.
Impact sometimes throw that, and you're like, man, I wish they had something else. When you heard Moose come out, that beat is just banging. It's a production beat. When
Totally
you
get
hear
it.
that, yeah, but you just don't get that with a lot of the others. But Damian Priest, we'll see where that goes. I mean, it's definitely an intro that will have to grow. I do like the original better, I will say. But this new character, I think I can get with it,
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
As long as Damian Priest is on my TV, he is one of the better parts of Raw, and he's been that way with any show that he's been on.
Yeah.
He's a very charismatic guy, and even when he was in doing the Ring of Honor stuff as Punishment Martinez,
Right.
and his time in NXT, everywhere that he's gone, he has looked like a star.
Right.
Everywhere that he's been.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing. And something that I hope WWE continues to do, which is pull that aspect out of him and display that even more prominently.
Yeah, I agree. Last one I'll mention, Keith Bearcat Lee. It was good to see him back. I'm hoping now we can see him more regularly on the show.
Right.
He's a powerhouse. It's going to be very interesting to see what role they're going to have him. Is he really just going to play the mid card? I mean, I hope he works his way up to to end up having that big match between like him and Big E. But yeah,
maybe he's going to be the mid card monster. I mean,
I'm thinking that's what it's going to end up being. But
speaking of new entrance themes too, I mean, they gave him a little growl at the beginning of this theme.
They did. Yeah. So yeah, definitely interesting there. So we'll see where that goes. That was all I really picked up for Raw. I did enjoy the whole Carmella Liv Morgan thing, but I just like that because you got Corey right there, so he's going to get picked on pretty much all the time when she's out. So
I'm genuinely curious how many times they're going to put those two together in matches, depending on which brand that they're on. I mean, right? At this point, it literally feels like as if it's Carmella 476 to Liv Morgan 475.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Are these ladies destined to do this forever? Hopefully not.
Yeah, I agree, man. Quick switch over into SmackDown. Man, we didn't have the tribal chief on the show, which was definitely noticeable. Maybe it was on FS1. I'm happy they're going back to Fox because apparently I must didn't set my DVR correctly. I've had it the last few times that it was on FS1, but it didn't record this last week, so I had to find alternative methods to watch it. But overall, it was really good. What's your take on Shotzi, man? She had that match, and I was actually pretty impressed against Charlotte.
I was extremely pleased that they went the route that they did with, obviously having Banks and Flair out there at the beginning of the show.
Right.
And, having, all this stuff where Charlotte basically Bigfoots and just denies Sasha, saying that she wants someone new. And they actually gave her someone new. Like,
I know, right?
Fuck. That okay.
Right. Yeah.
Trick or fucking treat, I guess. And Shotzi actually had a very good showing for herself. The thing that I think was great about this, I read online where a lot of people were completely shit canning the heel turn by Shotzi. But realistically, I think that it was a very smart thing to do. And the reason why I say that is because you have a large percentage of the audience that wants to cheer Sasha Banks.
We do.
You've almost had to have Sasha Banks in this tweener type of a role where she hasn't really had, I don't know how else to say this other than just to say this, but it's almost like as if she has just been kind of treading water. She hasn't really shown a ton of character development as of late. And I think that is because of the booking. You know, when you have her doing heelish things one week, babyface things the next, she can't really gain any continuity and consistent momentum in her character direction. So hopefully this, you know, realignment of things will allow Shotzi to just be a full-time heel. And then at that point, you can allow Sasha Banks to be a full-time babyface.
Right.
So let's call it what it is. Maybe they genuinely are posturing themselves for life after Charlotte Flair.
Wow. It was very interesting. They brought out Charlotte first, which I kind of thought, you know, and yeah, she, I mean, she did what she had to do. I listen, I'm so confused at this, right? I was having a conversation today at my job, and there's a guy there who's a big fan of wrestling, and he had mentioned to me about he had made the same reference of Charlotte being going bye-bye. And this is where I'm confused, and tell me if I'm just wrong in my overall thinkings on this. I get the idea of maybe where she wants to be, or maybe where she feels her true love is. But haven't WWE been extremely like gracious to just her in general, her character? She is one of the top female wrestlers in the business today. And by the way, we can all say that it was the Flair name that kept her in the role. But let's be honest too, she's really worked her ass off outside of just having that name to be where she's at. And WWE has really treated her with just a lot of love that sometimes I think it was just way too much even to be given to her. How are you treated that way in many ways, but you think now you just want to bounce, or not having fun, or everything that they've given to you to set you up for success, you just want to be like, no, I'm out, peace. Doesn't that seem like, am I looking at this the wrong way? Because I get it, okay? But why did they do something wrong to her that caused that? Just because you have this feeling of whatever that feeling may be. I want to be over here, you know, next to love of my life, or I want to be over here because I want to be a part of the growing business, whatever that be. What about the ones that have taken care of you and put you on the map here? I mean, I don't think I'm just saying, if all of what we've been reading and hearing is true, I don't think she was approaching that the correct way. Am I right or wrong in this?
So there are two definite ways to look at this.
Okay.
The only person who can really speak on her motives and how she is going about the situation in all seriousness is Charlotte. She's the only person that really can give full insight.
Yes.
Now, the fact of it is this, just drawing parallels with working in an environment where you don't want to be, no matter what happens, no matter, you know, if to draw a parallel and kind of extrapolate things a little bit. Imagine that you're working for a place and you've been working there for quite some time. You're extremely talented in your position and what you've done, and you've brought great things to the table. That company has reciprocated to you, and they have given you a platform to shine, and they have, you know, given you every opportunity to advance. So much so that some people are saying that, you know, that you're the greatest.
Right.
But realistically speaking, at the end of the day, if you are unhappy when you go into that job, if for whatever reason, if you are unhappy when you get there, if you are unhappy with the people that you may be working for, or your current working situation, at the end of the day, nothing that they can do will make you change your mind. Once people have their mind set on something, they are going to do whatever they can to better their situation, however they feel that they need to do that. And it's one of those things. I mean, if you just look back at the Charlotte Flair stuff in the last year, there was the incident where she flipped off the crowd at the WWE show when they were chanting that they wanted Becky. And I mean, that is one example. You know, obviously the title exchange ceremony or whatever the fuck they called it. It's one of those things that, you know, you're starting to see little things here and there. And unless she is one hell of an actor and she is just adding these wrinkles and these nuances to her character, then at some point these have to be almost knee-jerk kind of reactions. These have to be things that are her real personality and how she legitimately feels about things shining through. And if she is, you know, adding these little things in here for nuance and, you know, it is all acting and it is all kayfabe, then she is an even better actor than we could have thought.
And I'm hoping that's what that is and not the other. So yeah, we'll see where that goes, man. Of course, Brock Lesnar was not only handed his indefinite suspension, but he got fined $1 million. So
$1 million.
$1 million.
Right.
Oh man, that was great.
Dude, at this point, you just have to realize it's a way to keep him off TV until they want to bring him back to face Roman on a canon-based pay-per-view, on a pay-per-view where they're actually going to use it to further the storyline. Right. We talked about this before Crown Jewel, that they typically test things out, you know, before Crown Jewel or whatever their Saudi pay-per-views are, to kind of get a reaction from the crowd and see how things work. Keep in mind, WWE, they don't have house shows anymore. And you know, it's one of those situations that they have to have a platform to test certain things. So they brought Brock back with a completely different look, completely different behaviors. He actually cut promos for himself this time around. And dare I say, everything that he did was good. Everything that involved Brock was a success. So why don't you just take him off TV and then reintroduce him? Maybe you have him go on to face Roman at Royal Rumble, something of that nature. And that way it's one of your bigger shows and Roman gets a key victory stateside, something to where it is canon and storyline based. That is something that they can really reference on a consistent basis. So I think it's smart booking. Derek, geez, what the hell am I saying? I'm applauding a booking move by WWE.
Hey man.
I guess the sun shines on a dog's ass once in a while.
Well, yeah, they definitely. I really like the way that one is going, so I'm not mad at that. Now, you know, I talked about the idea of I just don't, you know, get the whole Riddle and Orton. One thing I tell you that I do get, and I'm pretty sure that others be like, I just don't get, is the Happy Corbin and Madcap. I really do like that. See, I knew they was gonna get that look.
There you go. See, and this is what's funny is you love Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. But you're kind of you know, up in the air about RK Bro. I love RK Bro, but I'm up in the air about Happy and Madcap. So
But yeah, I just love it. The whole gimmick to me is it's just so silly that it is funny. And I think that's why, you know, every last joke I know is not going to be funny, but that's why it's funny to me, just because I know it's going to be horrible. You know, that's what, and these guys laugh on anything. I mean, whatever move they do, whatever they come. I just think it's and you get a chance to see Corbin still does his end of days, which I love. I love that move he performs, man. I've been liking that since he entered WWE. I just love that move.
Corbin has a good moveset. He's always had a great moveset. And even from his time in NXT, doing the deep six and the end of days and all the stuff that he's done. Hell of a move set for this guy, and I'm so glad that they're still allowing him to do most of those things.
I know.
So
but but yeah, so I was good to see him, and they got their win over Rick Booz and Shinsuke Nakamura. So that was that. It wasn't too much more that was happening on the show. Yes, there was a Naomi and Shayna Baszler match because of Sonya throwing them in there. I wanted to see where they're gonna go with that, but I don't know. I don't
blink
know.
and you miss it. They went what, 2 minutes?
Right. That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
And of course, we got another Usos and New Day match, which you're always going to get a great match when it comes to that. So overall, I think they're gonna, when they're back on to Fox next week, they're gonna be they're gonna come harder than probably what they did this week. This is one of those shows that seemed like they were just trying to get through. I don't know.
They'll come harder when they're on free TV or when they're on network TV. Is that what you're saying? All right.
Hey.
All right.
Hey,
Anyway.
I'm not, by the way, and I'm not saying that it was a bad show. It just wasn't as strong. And if you ain't gonna have Roman on there, it automatically I have to drop you down some points. It's just guaranteed. In fact, I'll take you one even more. If I'm at the show and I find out he ain't there, I'm looking for a refund. I'm just telling you right now. Don't tell me you ain't gonna have the tribal chief on SmackDown, and I'm there.
Really quick, you did miss one thing that
yeah, man. Go ahead.
It's storyline based. So now you missed the knighting ceremony.
The night, yes.
We have our king, and now we have Sir Kofi.
Sir Kofi.
All
yes.
Right. And complete. I don't know if you're if you're watched Game of Thrones, but
yep.
They even had it down to giving Sir Kofi the hand of the king pin with the unicorn head.
I know. I saw that
with the unicorn horn. That was dope.
Right.
I so good. So good.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man. Usos and New Day, they've wrestled each other about 5,000 times, but you know what? Every single time they wrestle, it's entertaining, and they always find new things to pull out of the bag of tricks.
Right.
And as long as they keep doing it, you can't go wrong.
Right. And I guess that would be the difference between the Carmella and the Liv match. If you're going to have 5,000 matches, make sure it's different, entertaining, going to go 100% all the time. So I get what you're saying there, and it was awesome to see them back at it again.
You want to know the funny thing? Know the funny thing is after SmackDown went off the air, there actually was an appearance by the tribal chief, so he was in the building.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so he was involved. They had a six-man match after the show went off the air.
Okay.
So much fun shit happened. I highly recommend that you just go and look at it. Even the special counsel and the wise man took off his jacket and got up on the ring apron and demanded to be tagged into the match.
Oh,
he didn't really do anything except have his attention diverted elsewhere. And then he did take a couple of shots to the back, but then he rolled out of the ring and sold it. So it was fun.
Yeah.
It was normal house show shit.
Yeah.
But as we mentioned earlier, WWE not really doing house shows anymore. So now you're going to start to get those kind of house show funsies after the show. So stick around until the tapings are done.
That used to kind of be the way it used to be. After the cameras go off, it was always what happened afterwards.
Bingo.
I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up because that seemed like that would be real. Now, see, even if that would have happened, I would have been pleased as long as he showed up.
There you go. Okay. So ultimately what it was is Roman Reigns just didn't want to be on FS1.
Did he really need to be on FS1? That's
probably not. Probably not. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Right.
And yes, obviously I'm talking out of my ass with that. I don't know if Roman said, "Oh, I'm not going to be on FS1."
Right. Of course.
Nonetheless, it was interesting that they didn't have him on the show, but they did have him as, participating in the dark match main event.
Right. Also, man, let's talk a little bit about this NXT Halloween Havoc. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was put together, a lot of title changes as well. And man, I don't even know where do we start outside of saying that Toxic Attraction has all the belts,
They got all
the gold. Man.
Yeah, they firmly pressed that reset button.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The only title that didn't change hands was the men's championship, the NXT championship. So
right.
Interesting.
Yeah. This I guess in terms of Mandy, is this going to be really this having her this, I mean, Mandy, of course, been around a lot longer than her other tag partner she has. So is this going to really kind of build her up to that next level? And of course, they never pull, giving her that in any belt in a source like that within SmackDown. But this is a pretty big belt, to carry on. What do you think this might do to her career as going forward?
Well, I think that this is smart for them to put the title on her, because she has been, within the WWE system for years at this point. Mm-hmm. So it's something that, yes, as we mentioned, they're pressing the reset button. You're starting to see, all of the champions from the black and gold era of NXT going away, losing the championships, being, having different places on the card, that kind of thing. Right. And I think that more than anything, it's a little bit refreshing that they've been able to repackage Mandy Rose. They've been able to change literally everything about her character. Yeah. And she obviously, she's still sexy. They're still playing up on that. Right. But they're finding a new way to go about it. And again, working with nuances and character wrinkles and adding some depth to these characters. I think that realistically, when you saw that Toxic Attraction was featured so prominently, and you can take a look at their entrance, if nothing else. Right. And you can see that they have the machine behind them. Yeah. So when they made the announcement of, that there was going to be a gimmick match between Raquel Gonzalez and Mandy Rose, you figured that there would be something that would happen there. And then obviously, having Dakota Kai do her thing and cost Raquel her championship. That was a foregone conclusion. Sure. Anybody who's ever watched wrestling for any length of time knew that was going to happen at some point. Yep. So that wasn't surprising to me. More than anything, what was surprising to me was that they put the tag team championship on Toxic Attraction more than the women's championship. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Just right quick on our chat, we got Shant on there. Welcome, Shant. Thanks for listening. He mentions that this is going to be a prime example when Toxic Attraction goes to the main roster. They'll be used like it's nothing with creative, aka Vince McMahon. He also says we can look at this now, but I'm looking at the distant future with all of these call-ups on NXT. Listen, I've always been critical of what happens when Vince McMahon gets his hold of them, but let's be real. As far as from our understanding, it's Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard that is right now running the camp. So, this ain't Triple H, and then he just destroys what Triple H did. So, I don't know. I mean, this is his creation here, Shant. So I'm gonna say that they'll be probably a little bit more safer than if it wasn't. But good for them, man. I guess we'll see what comes out of that. Well, MSK Imperium. First off, let me say I was informed a little bit more. I don't know if you really want to get into it, but I got into a little bit more information on why MSK gets booed, because I was totally confused as to why that was happening when these guys
when you watch this match, I'm looking at stuff going, how do you, it don't even make sense for you to even be, to have a Buddha come even close to your mouth when you see what these guys do. They are truly an awesome, and even the idea that I think Matt Michaels, and I'm not sure if you agreed or not, on the idea that they were considering even dropping MSK from the roster some months ago. I don't even see how that was even possible. I'm just so confused about all of this. I like these guys, and I don't mind them dropping the belt. They did have it for a while. Imperium's been doing what they've been doing for a while, and I think having the belt, and then eventually we get Walter. This is going to be sort of the Imperium that we kind of thought that we were going to see, with them having, if that all comes about, who knows? But nevertheless, yeah. Anyways, they are the champs, and I don't know. What was your take on the whole match, MSK and the Imperium?
So I think that realistically speaking, I don't think that there's anywhere for them to go but up in terms of their title reigns. If you remember, they have held the NXT tag titles before, but their reign was so forgetful, and they really didn't accomplish much. And unfortunately, I think that was one of the major oversights of the previous era of NXT. Is that, these guys who are technically strong in the ring, and the fundamentals, and, the ring is sacred, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there definitely needs to be either a wrestler or a tag team faction, something, in almost every promotion that is a bit of a traditionalist group. Because it allows for better interplay between the characters, especially when you have, guys that are so grounded and reminding everybody that, yes, this is wrestling.
Yeah.
I know that that's a dirty word, and that's something that you can't say on WWE programming. But at the end of the day, I think that it's definitely better to have an entity like Imperium than for them to not be there. And the fact that they did pick up the win in a pretty decisive fashion, there wasn't any like cheating or any kind of random chicanery. They hit the finisher and they won.
Right.
I can't complain about that at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
But I genuinely want to know what you heard about why they're getting booed, because I heard some things, and I just want to know if what you heard corroborates what I heard.
It had to do, and I totally forgot. It had to do with, I guess, the parents of this 14-year-old. Do you know the story now?
Yes.
Yeah. That apparently you had, I guess she was on some sort of program. I don't know what it was, but she took some bumps that I guess MSK made a comment during that time that he doesn't think that someone at that age should be taking the amount of, I guess, bumps or something to that manner. And I guess that comment, which I guess other people made comments as well, I was told about this. And so with all of that, I guess since they had made their intro into NXT, the parents who are attending the show, you know how NXT is it's a very sort of, the fans are pretty close, everyone see each other every week and all the time. I guess these parents convince some fans to just boo them every time they come out. So that's the story I got. And I'm going, because I used to never understand why they would get booed. And I was like, and just to hear that that's really what took place, to know if that's really true, that's just disgusting that you would allow. Yeah, go ahead, man.
I agree. And I didn't mean to step on you there.
No,
what I was going to say is that it wasn't just any normal 14-year-old. It was superfan Izzy. If you remember Bailey back in NXT,
yes,
she always had a super fan that, they went out of their way to mention this girl.
Sure.
And now she's 14 years old, and she's been doing indie dates. And so yeah, she got into the ring and took some bumps. And yeah, the guys in MSK were vocal about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And you said it exactly. The parents of Izzy kind of started an entire Boo Bird section in the NXT audience for MSK. And it's really weird how that stuff all happened. But one thing that I noticed is that they were either strangely absent from this TV taping, from this live show,
Right.
or they just weren't as amped up and didn't start the boos. And it just so happens that on the same night that I noticed that, they lose their championships.
Right. I'm just hoping, and again, everything's speculation. That's all we do is opinion on the show. But I'm just hoping that the rumors of the idea that they were being considered at the time let go, or even I'm even hoping that the idea that they lost these titles, that neither one of these things had anything to do with what, if it's true, what happened about what these parents did to get these fans to react the way they did. I'm just hoping that none of the decisions that WWE had made was a reflection of that, because sometimes, if we hear it all the time, and most of the time WWE, I know, just ignore those things. But when you have fans that want to cheer opposite the way that they should, but it was definitely a little weird for MSK, and they were new. Why do you come in booing? That rarely ever happens unless they're presented as heels, and they wasn't. So it was. I don't know. I don't know what with this particular show, if they wasn't there, how did that not happen or whatever? But I just think for them to even do that in the first place was just not cool. It was just an opinion, they wasn't hating on her at all. It was just, that was just their opinion, and that's just the way it is, and that should have just stopped there. But to sabotage someone's career on that's just crazy to me, to think you could just do that. But what can you do?
Facts.
Of course, did you like Loomis' house? Because according to Gargano, we're not gonna have Halloween at his house anymore.
Dude, so the thing is you have to go into these Halloween shows just expecting that there's going to be some camp. They're going to,
sure,
they're going to have fun. It's the holiday. And we saw it on SmackDown. We saw it on AEW. We saw it on NXT. So, as long as you go into it just knowing that, hey, you're going to see, silly comedy. And unless you are just so hardcore that you can't laugh or have fun or make light of any kind of thing, then you can deal with it for one night out of the week, or if you have to watch all the shows like us, one night from every promotion for an entire week. But exactly, it is what it is, man.
It was fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't mind it whatsoever. And yeah, you had great callbacks, like with the zombie ref and all that kind of fun stuff to stuff they've done in years past. So it was cool. Again, continuity. I always bitch about them not showing continuity. Okay, well, here you go. So I can't complain about that.
Before I jump to just the main event of that, the introduction, of Solo Sikoa.
Yes.
How exciting. Dude. And we all know him as Sefa Fatu. What a great entrance into the show, and the fans caught on quite quickly.
Yeah. And it was really cool to see him featured so prominently. They had him come out and instantly look like a badass. So they definitely have plans for him. They've been running vignettes and things of that nature leading up to this show. But it was really cool to see Sefa out there. And Yeah, not backing
Yeah.
down from anybody. He didn't look weak, and in fact, he
Mhm.
looked like the alpha in the ring. You know,
Yeah.
with Waller and Knight in the ring. So you can't go wrong with that. And you know, some people were like, "What's up with his hair? The bleach blonde hair?" If hey, if you guys don't get the call back to Rikishi with the bleach blonde hair,
Right.
come on,
Yeah.
man. Like
Yep.
this type of stuff actually makes me take notice because I love to pick up on those little nuances and these
Sure.
little things that get sprinkled in. So,
Right.
dude, I genuinely just hope they don't fuck him up in a month. That's all that
Yeah.
I'm praying for. And you know, I don't think they will fuck him up.
I don't think
What
so
I
either.
will think will happen is you did have a chunk of the audience that knew exactly who he was. So it remains to be seen if he continues to go by this name or if they just say fuck it and just, you know, have him go to being Sefa Fatu or whatever the situation is, or just bring him on up and put him with the bloodline.
Yeah.
So
I'm with it all. I'm with it all.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. It's just good to see him you know, finally now getting that break. You know, he's been working hard for it. So it's just good to see him.
So much deserved. So much deserved. The guy has busted his ass for years and years and years. And now he's getting his shot.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So yeah, it's definitely just keep your eyes on him. Yeah, the NXT Championship, man. Ciampa and Braun Breaker. We you know, I think we all kind of knew how that was going to end. Well, maybe maybe not. I mean, you know, listen, at first, leading up to the match, I felt it could go either way. I think when the match started, I say, no, it's got to stay with Ciampa. And I guess the only reason why I figured that is because I just felt, okay, this is just too quick to be giving Braun. You know, I don't know. I'm not saying he's not ready. I'm not saying he's not.
Well, he's not.
What?
He's not. But
well,
anyway.
yeah. Boy, when he slipped off that rope, man, I was like, oh my God, you know.
Yeah.
You know, those things happen. They happen. But
yes,
you know, when it's a big guy that does that too, you definitely feel more because you're going, oh, dude, hope you're really all right, you know.
I'm kidding.
But overall, I enjoyed the match. We already know that he's going to be a future champion, Braun, so that's already given.
Oh yeah,
you know. But it really was so off to a point where you didn't know how that was going to end, and it was exciting. I mean, Ciampa's I mean, this guy right here. I'll be honest with you, he's ready. I see him at the level of where Seth is. I don't know if I'm taking that too far, but Ciampa, I see him being that star to that caliber. Heel or face, but definitely, I mean, he's just got it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
So
and dude, he's had it for years. Yeah. He's had it for years. He just now he's had the platform to shine. I think that for me, I saw this pay-per-view going into it as their way of hitting the full-on reset button. And I was afraid that they were going to put the title on Braun Breaker so early. And that is, I think, one of the reasons why I was kind of frustrated leading up to this match, because to me, it was like, okay, well, they're going to reset and put the titles on all new people. Or excuse me, Imperium's not necessarily, they're not new, but
right.
They're going to have title changes for every single title. So it was at least somewhat refreshing that on this night that they chose to keep the championship on Ciampa.
Right.
Now, how much longer he'll be that champion that remains to be seen. But I was definitely,
I mean,
was worried.
Does Braun go right back to Ciampa again, or do we move on and we bring Braun back a little bit later in the future to compete and then get it? Okay.
I definitely think it's the latter.
Okay.
I don't think that they have him, stay right up at that top tier. I think that now you can peel Braun off a little bit and have him, go into feuds and interactions with other guys that have maybe been there for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be something to where they will definitely shine. If they're going to make new stars, we've always talked for years and years how they have refused to make new stars and how they have to get stars from the indies and all that kind of stuff. And we've ridiculed them for not building stars.
Right.
Okay. Other than the fact that, Braun is a second generational talent. And yes, he is a Steiner at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Other than that, he is, for all intents and purposes, he is a homegrown guy.
Yeah.
He is somebody that will, he's never been in AEW. He's never been in New Japan. He's not
right.
He's not, his name is not tied to any other promotion other than the WWE banner.
Right.
So they have an opportunity to build another homegrown talent that stays with them for years and that they can invest in and tell some really long-term storylines with.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, man. Well, we've enjoyed all of the WWE talk. Let's jump into some AEW Dynamite and Rampage, man. So get into it, man. What did you like for this past week?
All right, man. So we say it every single week. AEW knows how to kick off a show.
That's true.
So let's talk about Dynamite and what they did there. They had CM Punk versus Bobby Fish. It was a 14-minute match. These guys, I was thoroughly impressed with this match. Right on down to the fact that there was a spot where Punk was on the top rope and, you had Bobby Fish working the knee.
Right.
And the fact that you had to have CM Punk stand up there on one leg and jump off and do an elbow drop just because he was still selling the effects of the attack on his knee. Right. I think that it's little things like that will bring a little bit more, it'll help to round out the roster, because as people make note of that and as the guys on that roster start to sell more, I think that the biggest thing and the biggest area where a lot of people love to criticize AEW is the fact that the matches are spot fest and that they don't sell any kind of injury or damage done in the match. But here you have somebody featured very prominently on their show doing that, and they went out of their way to comment on it on commentary as well. So that was a built spot, and it was something that I would love for them to continue to implement those kinds of things. But nonetheless, you have CM Punk obviously picking up the win over Bobby Fish in 14 minutes. I think that was very, very solid. And as far as what was next, of course, you follow it up with a freaking enhancement match for a minute with MJF beating Bryce Donovan, cutting a promo. You've got the interplay with Darby Allin and Sting, and a skateboard with thumbtacks underneath of it. I don't know if you saw any of the imagery from social media, but Wardlow's back, man. Wardlow's back. Ugh. Every time that they've done those skateboard spots with the tacks,
right?
Yeah. But hey,
that would be a no for me.
If they want, if whoever's taking those spots, if they want to continue to do it, fuck it. More power to them.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, you did have Sammy Guevara versus Ethan Page for the TNT title, and they went for 13 minutes. Very solid match, which Sammy picks up the win with a quick jackknife cover for the win, in a bit of a surprise, not a surprise, but a just kind of an out of nowhere finish, I should say. Yeah. So that way it doesn't necessarily harm Ethan Page all that much. Another thing with this match, storyline wise, stipulation wise, was that if Guevara lost, that he was out of the inner circle. So, you didn't have any other kind of stipulations. You had Sammy seemingly with everything to lose in this match. So it's good that he didn't lose this match.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then obviously you have Jericho come out after the match, and the stage is now set. We're going to have American Top Team versus the Inner Circle at Full Gear, and it'll end up being a 5-on-5 match. And yeah, Jericho called Dan Lambert a pumpkin-headed dipshit. So there we go. You got to love that whenever that's thrown out there.
Yeah.
But
America's Top Team.
Hey, man, I like the crossover that they're doing. I know that, you know, some people are shit canning it.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I mean, yeah, it's different. So I'm with that. I wish I could see more of Ethan and even oh God, what's his Scorpio Sky? Yeah, I wish I could see them wrestle more. Yeah. You know, I just wish I had that. But outside of that, I don't mind the faction. I think it's pretty cool. It's definitely entertaining. I know people don't like Dan, but I think he's you know, he's awesome. He does what he needs to do. So I give him credit.
The guy's a heat magnet, you know, like he can cut a promo. That's the greatest thing. And you've got, you know, when they come out there and they have the full entourage, you know, with Junior Dos Santos and Jorge Masvidal and Paige Van Zant. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's not like as if they're trotting out fighters that have been retired for 20 years or anything of that nature. Oh, this guy made their name, you know, forever and a day ago, former this, former that. I mean, these are some guys, yes, that that are either recently retired or, you know, they've been in the game for a long time, but they're recognized names. And they're not, they still can have you suspend disbelief that they can beat the shit out of anybody there. So I think that really has been a great thing for them, and, you know, them continuing to have American Top Team interspersed throughout the show. I think it's good. I think it's good, and I want to see it more.
Yes.
When I say more, I don't mean more each week, but I want to see it for a longer period of time.
Gotcha.
So, Impact. I really would love to know your input on the Serena Deeb Hikaru Shida match. That was a TBS tournament match, which Shida did pick up the win in 12 minutes to advance in the tournament and finally get her 50th win in AEW. Yeah.
I haven't seen many of Serena Deeb's matches. But from the ones I have seen, and especially this one, man, I mean, she's got skills, you know what I mean? And overall, I tell you, I've always been a Sheeta fan.
I'm sure you are.
Stop it. Although that's true, but nevertheless, sometimes
you just got to call it what it is.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it was well done. I mean, she did the one move where they were off on the steel stairs and had their legs crossed off, and I was just kind of like, okay, that was I haven't seen that one. So I enjoyed it, man. I it's, let's see where they go with that.
I will go as far as to say is this is probably, I'd say, top 3 women's matches in AEW history.
I would probably accept that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They absolutely killed it. And yes, it was a 12-minute match, but dude, like, both of these ladies brought it, and they brought it for the entire match. This is, dare I say, what they had envisioned their women's division to look like from the beginning. Now, implementation was not exactly where we wanted it necessarily to be as fans, but I definitely think that they may have turned a bit of a corner if they can implement some of the things that worked well in this match. for some of their upcoming matches, and take a little bit from here, take a little bit from there, and let's call it what it is. You mentioned that Deeb has skills. Yeah, she definitely has skills. She is one of the most technically proficient talents that they have. And that's on either side, men or women. I think Serena Deeb is an amazing in-ring competitor without question. That being said, Sheeta won, which, yes, I think that was the right call for this match. Up next, she faces Nyla Rose. So we'll see what happens, but keep in mind, they did the whole thing with working her knee. So if she does lose to Nyla Rose, she has an out, and she is at least a little bit protected.
Yeah.
So
we'll see where they go there.
We will. Elsewhere, I mean, you had Jon Moxley eating Preston Vance's face off. It was only about a 10-minute match, but there was a pretty crazy spot where Mox ripped his mask apart, took a chunk out of his face, and Preston Vance's head was just gushing blood, bro.
Man.
I'm curious as to if that match was supposed to end that quickly, or if they just had to go home really quickly because of that cut being a lot deeper than they thought it would have been.
Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, Moxley advances in the tournament. We talked about fun stuff and Halloween.
Yeah.
It doesn't get too much more fun than the Dark Order versus the Elite in an 8-man tag. You have the Dark Order coming out dressed as various Halloween costumes, including John Silver dressing up as Bambi, which was pretty fucking funny. You did have the Elite coming out to a variant of the Ghostbusters theme, all dressed as Ghostbusters with proton packs.
Right.
So there's that.
Right.
You had just your typical 8-man tag stuff going through there. And then what happens? But craziness transpires, as we all knew that it would. And then we see a person dressed in a horse costume run down to the ring. And of course, a horse is a horse, of course.
Right.
Of course.
Only
when it's not. And evidently, the Elite thought that the person wearing the horse costume was Hangman Adam Page. Right. So they give him the BTE trigger and nail him with 4 knees to the head. They take off the mask for the big reveal, and it's Brandon the Goon Cutler. I don't care what anyone says. He is probably the greatest comedy goon lackey in pro wrestling on either brand, because you just look forward to him getting his ass kicked, and that he's comic relief. He's a jobber. He's right. What is he really doing with these guys other than being a cameraman and being comic relief? So that's great. Obviously, it all came to a head when the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, who was out there the entire match, gets up behind Matt Jackson, and you see that mask come off, and it's Hangman Adam Page, and he looks pissed. So that was awesome. You have him drop him with the Deadeye, which, dude, every single time I see that move, I just cringe, because it only takes one time fucking that move up, and then it could be game over for whoever's taking that move.
Right.
And I'm not one to normally complain or bitch about how unsafe things are, but that move just really fucking scares me every single time I see it.
Yeah.
I hope that nothing ever happens, but something's going to happen one day.
Right. You can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Everybody goes home happy at the end of the Halloween episode. And that segues us right into AEW Rampage on the 29th of October. And dude, we said it for Dynamite, but it holds true here. AEW knows how to kick off a show. Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston in a world title eliminator tournament semifinal match. These guys beat the fuck out of each other. And it was glorious. It was absolutely glorious.
Did you expect it to be any other but that type of style match when you have Eddie in it?
When you got Eddie in there and when you have the new Bryan Danielson in there, I mean, Danielson has had some crazy physical matches since he's come to AEW. And to answer your question directly, yeah, I pretty much expected this shit. I didn't expect too much less, but you don't want to, go into a match thinking that it's going to light the world on fire or, be crazy good, so that way, when it happens, you have to go back and you have to watch it twice.
Right.
Because yes, I did go back and I watched this match a second time.
Yes.
Dude, just the Bryan Danielson's chest. I mean, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God. And the thing is, Eddie Kingston can work his ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Say what you will. He doesn't have the most conventional style in the world. But he brings it and he busts his ass, and he's been busting his ass for years, dude. When he was working the indies, same exact thing. So I knew to expect Eddie Kingston to come in here, work his ass off. I came into this match expecting Bryan Danielson to work his ass off. These guys went 17 minutes. It was incredible. If for some reason you did not watch this match, and I'm talking to the listeners now and the viewers, if you did not watch this match, if you just didn't, for whatever reason, do yourself a favor. As soon as the show ends, go and watch this match. 17 glorious minutes, and just, I can't give it any more of a glowing endorsement.
Right.
So.
No, you guys got your homework. Go check out this match. And
for real.
Yeah.
Definitely reminded me of some strong style that we would see out of New Japan.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You could have easily taken this match and placed it inside of the Tokyo Dome or within a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring, and it would have been right at home. It would have been right on par with any of their hardest hitting matches that we've ranted and raved about in the past.
Yes.
Elsewhere on this show, we had Dante Martin versus Matt Sydal. Solid match, but unfortunately, I think that the opener was so damn good that the crowd was tired. The crowd was not into this match. But dude, Dante Martin continues to show that he is one of the highest flyers, no pun intended, in the business. This guy's got real upside, man. He's got real upside.
I like him, but I
like the pairing with Lio Rush. I really like the pairing with Lio Rush.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't know if that's any excuse though for the fans to not be in it. I know that even if they just came from a very hype match, that shouldn't be your time to just chill. I mean, especially when you're seeing what, like we're saying, Dante's doing high flyer moves. How can you be silent onto that? It almost makes it seem like that maybe the fans aren't necessarily interested into, these guys, at least not yet, which is sad if that is the case, because this is your future. At least Dante is. Matt's
definitely
been in the game
is
for a minute. So
definitely.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, and the thing too is, you've got Sydal in there, who, Sydal has been in the game for a long time.
Yeah,
and is very technically proficient. Very, very solid in-ring competitor as well. So I thought that, this match, other than the fact that it followed up the crazy match that went right before it, I know personally I've been in live attendance at shows where you just see a match that takes you back and they can be they can give you a sense of fatigue as an audience member.
Yeah.
And I think that this match unfortunately really suffered as a result. So
yeah.
But from there, you had your main event. You had the no DQ trick or treat match with Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, excuse me.
That's right.
DMD versus Abaddon. What a better time to feature Abaddon in the main event of an AEW show than on fucking Halloween weekend. And just do it in a gimmick match, man. Trick or treat, no DQ. This match was solid. I thought that it was good. I liked the tie-in with the Abaddon character. It took a little bit to get it going.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at first it was very, I don't want to say pedestrian, but it was slower moving than I'd like. But I think that when they brought in the Carnage and they brought in the chair and, you know, the bag of thumbtacks and they did those spots and,
right.
There was even a spot where Baker put a handful of the thumbtacks in Abaddon's mouth and gave her a super kick. I see you cringing right now, bro.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine? Could you just imagine someone loading a handful of thumbtacks in your mouth and then super kicking the shit out of your face? Ooh.
Yeah. That's a no for me, dog.
Hey, man. Yeah, that's a no for me, dog.
I ain't signing up for that.
No, sir. But and then, you know, you have the teasing, and I don't know why it took this long for anyone to do it, but it makes perfect sense. You have Britt Baker going for the lockjaw. She puts her hand in Abaddon's mouth, and Abaddon just decides to have a little snack like John Moxley on Dynamite, you know, and starts biting her hand.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't know why more people haven't done that though, as a counter to the lockjaw. I mean, just bite down.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then you have the most devastating move in all of professional wrestling. Nod to my boy Simon Miller at What Culture, the inside cradle, the roll up for the 1, 2, 3, but at least it was into the thumbtacks themselves. So Dr. Britt Baker DMD retains. That was AEW this week.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. We also had Impact Wrestling this week. And of course, they did their tapings here. So we got a chance to see one of them air. It was the first show after Bound for Glory. And you got to kick it off with Moose. You just got to start your show. Right. You got to start your show with Moose. And it showed off. By the way, let me just go ahead and let me just quote what Moose started off the show with saying. He said, it doesn't matter how elite you are. It doesn't matter what tribe you're chief to. If you're the boss, the man or woman or king, the queen, it doesn't matter what day to hold the title. Hell, you can add a new day to the week. I'm still the greatest champion in all of professional wrestling. That's a mic drop, bro. I mean, you go take shots and then just, you know, seal it up with what you pretty much, you know, think of yourself. That's a mic drop. And just shout out to Moose for cutting that. And by the way, I love how they did it. He came out, and apparently there's people really pissed at what he did at Bound for Glory, you know, taking the
Hang on.
Yeah.
Apparently there are people that are pissed.
Well,
if I can remember, when we went to Bound for Glory, weren't you one of those people that were pissed at what he did?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that is factual. I was pretty upset, and so was Eddie Edwards, because before he even gave that entire promo in the ring, when he finally got to the ring, right before he even picked up the mic, Eddie Edwards came out and just started attacking him. So, yeah, overall, just really good stuff. I tell you, I didn't really know. Listen, how Bound for Glory ended was like the greatest way you could possibly end such a pay-per-view that way. But at the same time, it was upsetting because I just didn't think that was going to get pulled that particular night. So that night, yes, it was like, damn, that's, that whole thing sucked. But nevertheless, hey, Moose is deserving of it, and he came out and he hit that promo, and it was great. Now I will say this because they're right now working on this this 3 versus 3 match that they're going to have next week. Matt Cardona, of course, had a problem with Moose because he beat Matt in the entire gauntlet the gauntlet that they had. So Matt Cardona was like, hey, I could beat you for that belt, And so, okay, we got him. Now you have Eddie Edwards who came out and jumped him. All right. So they tag team those two together to fight against him next week. But you can't forget Josh Alexander, the main person who got screwed in all this. They now put all 3 of them together to go against Moose. So Moose had to go and find, if he can, 2 other people who would tag with him because he done screwed practically everybody in the company. Let me say this before I mention the 2 people, because he did find 2 others. I'm not exactly sure that I'm happy with the idea of Josh Alexander being back. At the same time, if you watch the show, Mickie James came back to confront Deonna because she said, Deonna, you put me in one hell of a match, and you deserve to have your rematch. The problem is no one seems to know where you are. So what it seemed like they did was what I think what should have happened to Josh, they did with Deonna, and that was take Deonna off of TV for a minute. And I think, and they couldn't do that with both. It wouldn't make sense. Josh, I think, probably should have been more of the one that needed to take some time off, because I'm not seeing why he needs to be tagged with 2 other people. This guy should be pissed and angry, which he was. He had a fit backstage where Scott D'Amore had to like calm him down because he was about to look like he goes straight heel for a minute. So I get that. But as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't even have been Eddie Edwards to come out and hit him. If Josh was in the building, he should have just been the first one to run out there and beat up on Moose. So I'm not getting this, I see what the story is with it, but personally, after what happened in front of Josh's family, to me, that would have been the better excuse to have Josh off of TV for a minute to prepare for when he come back to revenge that match and get that title. But apparently they're going to do that with Deonna instead. Okay, so it is what it is. Next week, you are going to get Matt Cardona, Eddie Edwards, Josh Alexander, and he will go against Moose. And Moose convinced W. Morrissey into joining him because he said, Morrissey, you would have did the same exact thing I did if you had the opportunity. And Morrissey pretty much had to agree with that. So he'll team up with him. And of course, we had what everyone at the show really came to see for the night, Minoru Suzuki. Yes, who made his Impact entrance for the show. So they're going to team up with them 3 versus next. So next week's show is going to be really great. And man, that was it. How was it? I didn't get a chance to go to the recording tape in Sin City. I know you did. How was it when Minoru Suzuki came out? How was the place when exciting were people to see when he came through?
So here's the thing is I wasn't at the first night of tapings, which
you was okay.
No, the first night of tapings, they taped basically the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Got you. Okay.
And
okay.
So so they did that. I was there for the second night of tapings.
Okay.
But just from what I saw, the crowd was unbelievably into Suzuki. They definitely sang along with the Kaze ni Nare. They knew exactly what to do,
right?
And it was fun. It was
Yeah.
genuinely fun to be there, to experience that. And yeah, if you're ever in an area where, you know, you can watch Minoru Suzuki wrestle live, I highly recommend doing it. The guy's a legend for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it was great to see him. And again, you will finally get to see a match take place next week. So definitely find Access TV if you don't know where, or find some way to watch it. Outside of that, man, that was pretty much, I mean, there were other things in the show, but I mean, that was really the main points of it. We got a chance to see the inspiration. It was a funny segment that they did in the back when Gia, who does all of the interviews in the back, she went back there. She had an awesome, she got a moment to get a chance to interview the inspiration. And as she was doing some real good journalism, she ended up getting her ass kicked out of the locker room because they had enough of Miss Gia. You got to enjoy what the inspiration is doing, and that was a really good segment for them. But outside of that, man, that was Impact Wrestling, and I'm excited to see what the next few weeks are, as everything is leading back up to Turning Point, which is going to be back in Vegas again. Man, I'm again, Sin City, I'm just so excited that we showed out to Impact, and everyone just looked like, normally your TV tapings are not as crowded as your pay-per-views, but from looking at the tape shows, there were quite a few people who were still at the tape shows. Like, I was in the stanchions, you can still see that the stanchions were somewhat full. We know ringside was, but the stanchions, you can get some visuals and see that there were people in those seats. So I'm just happy Vegas showed up and giving love to Impact, because it's a great promotion, man. I mean, it doesn't have to be all big and glamour. They got some talent over there, and I just appreciate everybody showing up. And we're gonna do it again in about a month. So, yeah,
I'll be there.
Yes, and I will be there too. In fact, I even maybe will make a little bit more of the TV shows, because in work it'll be a little bit of a lighter week going into that Thanksgiving. So I should be able to at least make one of the TV tapings nights for that. All right, man. As we start to get close to wrapping up, New Japan, man, what's been going on over there that we should know? And let's go with that.
So we're heading right into Power Struggle. And I'll just run down that card. IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Shingo Takagi versus Zack Sabre Jr. It's going to be Shingo's third defense. Definitely going to be a good match to watch there. Sabre, you either love him in ring or you hate him in ring. His style is definitely one that is dependent upon technical superiority and joint manipulation. So definitely interesting there. You've got the IWGP World Heavyweight Right to Challenge in Tokyo Dome contract. So basically, it's a bunch of words for guaranteed number one contender title shot.
Gotcha.
Kazuchika Okada versus Tama Tonga, the only guy that Okada lost to in the G1 tournament. So that'll be cool there. Hiroshi Tanahashi puts his IWGP US Heavyweight Championship on the line against Kenta. So we'll see what happens there. This is only Tanahashi's second defense, so I don't see him dropping the title so soon. But we'll see. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship is on the line as Robbie Eagles defends against El Desperado. And this one is actually this final match that I'm going to talk about is going to be the stipulation is going to be decided via a Twitter poll. Yes, a Twitter poll.
Oh boy.
So it is the provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2021 King of Pro Wrestling 2021 championship. Toru Yano is the King of Pro Wrestling 2021, which is basically a joke title, against the Great Okan. And each guy submitted a stipulation for the match, and you can vote right there on Twitter. If you go to the New Japan World Global Twitter account, Toru Yanu's match will be, if his match is chosen, it will be an amateur wrestling match. Now, Toru Yanu is a 100% comedy character. He's not meant to be taken seriously in anything that he does. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. And the Great Okan's choice of a stipulation, it would be a Kiss My Feet match.
Okay.
So you can go get your vote on right now on Twitter. All right. And as of right now, wow, Toru Yanu's stipulation is has about 80% of the vote.
Wow.
So it looks like it's going to end up being an amateur rules wrestling match for the provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2021 championship at Power Struggle.
Wow, man, looking like something to keep your eye on and try to watch, you know, as it comes together.
Right.
So
exactly.
I'm with it, man. All right, guys. Thank you much for that, Sin City. This was our wrestling talk for the day. We ask you to, if you're watching us live, to hang out with us as we're going to end the show, but come right back with 3 Count. We got 3 good topics. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened with Ring of Honor. We're also going to mention Tony Schiavone says something that's pretty interesting we wanted to talk about. And who remembered Dutch Montel or Zeb Coulter? You know, yeah, he said something. I don't know if he's actually wrong about it. I don't know. We're going to talk about it in 3 Count. We ask that you hop back on. But if you listen to us only through podcasts, then yes, we do ask you to download for 3 Count, which will be released on Tuesday. All right. So with that, we thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be back next week. I might not be here, but we will have Matt Michaels back, done from scaring all of the kiddies, and he'll be back to be a pain in your ass, Steve. So
good. I guess next week will be explosive.
Yeah. See, that's why I was very nice with you this show. You don't need to take both weekends of just shit, hey, man. You know.
I knew something was off because I mean you're never this nice.
No. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it to him. So thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Peace.